Today, we are travelers, not through the busy roads of the modern world, but along the quiet paths of time. We will visit places that once held thousands of lives, where markets bustled, bells rang, and streets filled with footsteps, but where now only the wind moves. These are the lost cities, not destroyed entirely, not forgotten completely, but resting, sleeping in stone, sand, and water. We will walk softly through them, imagining their days of light and listening to the quiet of their nights. So, take a deep breath, let your shoulders sink, and let us begin. More than 5,000 years ago, before the towering palaces of Knossos rose on the island of Crete, a small but well-planned town thrived on the southern coast of Laconia in Greece. It was a place of sun and sea. Narrow streets ran between low whitewashed houses. Flat rooftops caught the breeze from the Aegean. Clay pots lined with woven reed lids kept grain and olives safe from the heat. If you were to walk its streets in those days, you might pass a merchant unloading amphorae from a small wooden boat, their clay still damp from the crossing. The air would carry the smell of salt water, fish, and the faint sweetness of figs drying on mats. Pavlopetri was a community connected to the great maritime networks of the Minoans and Mycenaeans. The pottery found in its ruins, decorated with spirals, waves, and marine life, tells us that its people traded far beyond their own shores. No written records survive, but its neat layout speaks of order and planning. There were homes, workshops, storage rooms, and open courtyards where neighbors might share a meal. And then something changed. Around 1000 BCE, Pavlopetri vanished beneath the sea. Some archaeologists believe an earthquake dropped the land into the water. Others suggest the sea slowly rose over centuries. There are even signs of a great wave, a tsunami that may have swept across the coast. Whatever the cause, life moved inland. The city's walls and streets stayed where they were, and the Aegean rolled in over them. Today, they rest under a few meters of clear, blue water. Fish swim through what were once doorways. Seagrass sways gently in the currents. Sunlight ripples over stone, and Pavlopetri sleeps in the arms of the sea. Far from the sea, in the highlands of what is now Zimbabwe, stand the remains of a city that once commanded an empire. From the 11th to the 15th centuries, Great Zimbabwe was alive with music, trade, and ceremony. Its name comes from the Shona phrase Zimba Dza Mabwe, houses of stone. Those stones are still there. Walls more than 5 meters high curve across the landscape. They were built without mortar. Each granite block carefully shaped to fit its neighbors. Within these walls lived kings and queens, craftsmen and traders, farmers and herders. Cattle grazed on the surrounding hills. The smell of cooking millet and sorghum drifted from hearths. Great Zimbabwe was a hub in a vast trade network. Gold from the local rivers traveled to the Swahili coast, then onward to Arabia, India, and China. Glass beads from distant lands made their way back here, found centuries later in the dust of abandoned homes. But by the 15th century, the city's power began to fade. Some scholars believe the surrounding land was overworked, its soil losing the richness that had fed so many. Others suggest that changing trade routes left the city isolated. Perhaps internal struggles weakened it. When the people left, the stone walls remained, their curved lines blending with the hills, becoming part of the earth again. Now, the wind moves through tall grass where thousands once gathered. Birdsong sown echoes off the ancient granite, and the great enclosure, once the heart of a kingdom, sits quietly under the African sun. In the rolling highlands of medieval Armenia, on a plateau above the Aegean River, stood Ani. In the 10th and 11th centuries, Ani was the capital of a kingdom, a city of wealth, beauty, and devotion. Its skyline was filled with church spires. Its streets were crowded with traders from across Asia and the Middle East. You might have heard the ring of blacksmiths in the markets, the chants of monks drifting from stone cathedrals, and the soft rush of the river below the city walls. Ani sat on trade routes that connected the Byzantine Empire with Persia and beyond. Caravans brought silk, spices, furs, and fine metalwork. The people of Ani were known for their skill in architecture. Their churches still stand with intricate carvings and graceful arches. But Ani's fortunes were tied to the tides of history. Invasions came, Seljuk Turks, Mongols, and others. Earthquakes shook the land. Trade routes shifted, and the city's lifeblood ebbed away. By the 17th century, Ani was abandoned. The grass grew tall between its stones. Snow drifted through roofless halls in winter. Today, a few lone churches rise against the empty sky. The cathedral, with its tall arched windows, stands open to the elements, a silent witness to centuries gone by. Long before the arrival of European colonizers in southern Africa, there was a powerful and sophisticated civilization whose achievements were written in stone, literally. Great Zimbabwe, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, emerged around the 11th century and flourished until the 15th. The city was the heart of a kingdom that controlled much of the trade in gold and ivory flowing from the African interior to the ports of the Indian Ocean. When we picture Great Zimbabwe, it's easy to imagine the warm sun glowing over sprawling valleys, with monumental stone walls standing proudly against the horizon. These walls, some reaching over 30 feet high, were built without mortar, the stones carefully shaped and fitted so precisely they have stood for centuries. The most famous of these structures is the Great Enclosure, an enormous elliptical wall surrounding a tower whose purpose remains a mystery. Was it ceremonial? A symbol of royal power? A granary? No one can say for certain. In its prime, Great Zimbabwe was home to perhaps 20,000 people, traders, craftsmen, royalty, and laborers. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of skilled artisanship, including intricate soapstone carvings, fine pottery, and imported glass beads from as far as Persia and China. These imports hint at the vast network of trade routes the kingdom tapped into, stretching across the continent and beyond the sea. And yet, by the late 1400s, Great Zimbabwe was largely abandoned. Theories abound. Some suggest overgrazing and deforestation caused the land to lose its fertility. Others believe the decline of nearby gold mines and shifting trade routes rendered the city economically unsustainable. There are whispers, too, of political upheaval, rival chiefs challenging royal authority. Whatever the cause, the stone walls remained, a silent testament to a civilization whose story was nearly erased from the history books. Beneath the crystal-clear waters off the coast of Laconia in southern Greece lies Pavlopetri, the world's oldest known submerged city. Dating back some 5,000 years, this Bronze Age settlement offers a haunting vision of daily life long ago, frozen in time, yet hidden beneath the waves. Pavlopetri was not a palace or a fortress. It was a working coastal town. Its layout is strikingly sophisticated: paved streets, rectangular stone buildings, courtyards, and even a complex drainage system. Archaeologists have mapped over a dozen structures, some with evidence of workshops, suggesting a vibrant economy. In its heyday, Pavlopetri likely bustled with merchants trading textiles, pottery, and perhaps even perfumes. The surrounding seas would have been dotted with small ships moving between nearby islands and the Greek mainland, carrying goods and stories from across the Aegean. Imagine the scent of salt and resin in the air, the chatter of traders in the marketplace, and the rhythmic sound of weaving looms from the homes. But around 1000 BCE, the town slipped into silence. Theories about its fate vary. Most agree a series of earthquakes gradually sank the land beneath the sea. Some scholars think sudden subsidence caused by tectonic shifts, combined with a rising sea level, sealed its fate. Today, Pavlopetri is remarkably well preserved because it was never reoccupied after it sank. The sea became its guardian, protecting it from erosion and human interference. Seen from above, its ghostly streets still stretch across the seabed like the blueprint of a vanished community. In the arid plains of northern Iraq, deep in the heart of Mesopotamia, stand the ruins of Hatra, an ancient city once famed for its wealth, resilience, and spiritual grandeur. Flourishing between the 2nd century BCE and the 3rd century CE, Hatra was a fortified caravan city on the Silk Road, linking the Roman and Parthian empires. Hatra's walls were legendary, over 2 kilometers in circumference, fortified with massive towers and gates. Within, the city was a blend of cultures: Parthian rulers, Greek architecture, Mesopotamian religious traditions. This fusion was most visible in its great temples, dedicated to a pantheon of gods, from the Mesopotamian sun god Shamash to Greek and Roman deities. The city's prosperity came from its position as a trade hub, but also from its strategic military strength. Roman legions tried and failed to take Hatra on more than one occasion. Its defenses were simply too strong. For a time, it seemed impregnable. Yet by the early 3rd century CE, its fortunes changed. In 241 CE, the Sasanian Persians, under King Shapur I, besieged Hatra. Accounts suggest the city held out for nearly 2 years, but eventually, famine and disease may have forced a surrender. After the conquest, the city was abandoned. Without its people, the desert slowly reclaimed it. When we stand among Hatra's ruins today, the massive columns and intricate carvings still hint at its former grandeur. But they also whisper of fragility, how even the mightiest cities can fade into dust when trade shifts, empires fall, and nature takes its patient course. Imagine standing on a quiet plateau in eastern Turkey, with the wind carrying nothing but the rustle of dry grass. Before you, on the horizon, lie the solemn ruins of Ani, once called the City of 1001 Churches. Today, its crumbling stone facades seem frozen in time, their arched windows staring out over a deep gorge as if still keeping watch over the border between Turkey and Armenia. Ani rose to prominence in the 10th century as the glittering capital of the Bagratid Armenian kingdom. Its location was perfect. Sitting along a branch of the Silk Road, it drew merchants, pilgrims, and scholars from all corners of the known world. Its skyline was dotted with domed churches. Bustling markets lined its streets, and caravanserais welcomed traders with goods ranging from Chinese silks to Persian spices. Medieval travelers spoke of Ani's size and grandeur in awe. Wide avenues paved with stone, aqueducts delivering fresh water, and a population possibly exceeding 100,000. Its churches, built in rich volcanic tuff stone, were adorned with intricate carvings of saints, kings, and fantastical beasts. Among them, the Cathedral of Ani was a masterpiece of Armenian architecture. Its soaring walls and pointed arches prefigured Gothic design centuries before it became fashionable in Europe. But prosperity rarely lasts forever. Ani became the prize in a long game of imperial tug-of-war. The Byzantines captured it, then the Seljuk Turks, followed by the Georgians, the Mongols, and others. Each conquest took a toll. Earthquakes shook its foundations, most notably in 1319, when much of the city crumbled. By the time Ottoman control was established, Ani had faded from the map, abandoned to the elements and the grazing animals of nomadic herders. Today, Ani sits in eerie isolation, its surviving churches standing like stone sentinels, whispering of a golden age when it was the city where the world met. Travel now to southern Africa, where the sun casts long golden rays over the open savanna. Rising from the grasslands are the monumental stone walls of Great Zimbabwe, an ancient city that challenges long-held misconceptions about African history. Between the 11th and 15th centuries, Great Zimbabwe was the beating heart of a powerful kingdom. At its peak, it may have been home to as many as 18,000 people, traders, craftsmen, and royalty living within and around its massive stone enclosures. The city's most striking feature is the Great Enclosure, a circular wall over 30 feet high and nearly 800 feet around, built entirely without mortar. The precision of its construction still amazes archaeologists. Great Zimbabwe's wealth came from controlling trade routes that linked inland Africa to the Swahili coast. From there, gold, ivory, and copper flowed eastward to ports that connected to Arabia, India, and even China. Excavations at the site have uncovered Chinese porcelain, Persian glassware, and Arab coins, proof of a vibrant global exchange. For centuries, European explorers and colonial officials refused to believe that Africans had built such an advanced city. Racist myths credited it to Phoenicians, Arabs, or other outsiders. But modern archaeology has definitively shown that Great Zimbabwe was the work of the Shona people, skilled builders, farmers, and traders who left behind a proud architectural legacy. The reasons for its abandonment remain debated. Climate change may have caused drought, depleting the city's resources. Overgrazing and deforestation might have strained the land. Shifting trade routes could have diverted wealth elsewhere. By the 16th century, Great Zimbabwe was empty, its towering stone walls left to the wind and wild grass. Today, it stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, not just for its beauty, but as a symbol of African achievement and resilience. Our final stop for now takes us north to the cold, restless waters of the Baltic Sea. Here lies the legend of Veneta, a fabled medieval city said to have been swallowed by the sea. According to stories passed down along the Pomeranian coast, Veneta was once the richest city in northern Europe. It was a maritime powerhouse. Ships laden with goods from distant lands would dock in its harbors, unloading spices, silks, furs, and precious metals. Its markets were overflowing with luxury items, and its citizens grew wealthy beyond measure. But with wealth came pride and arrogance. Medieval chronicles describe the people of Veneta as indulgent and corrupt, ignoring religion and morality. In these cautionary tales, divine punishment arrived in the form of a great storm. The sea surged over the city, dragging its towers, palaces, and people into the depths, leaving no trace but the waves. Historians, of course, have searched for a more earthly explanation. Some believe the legend was based on the real city of Wolin in present-day Poland, which thrived as a Slavic trading hub in the 9th and 10th centuries. Archaeological finds there include Arabic dirhams, Byzantine coins, and Scandinavian jewelry, clear evidence of a multicultural, wealthy port. Others suggest the story could be tied to coastal erosion or a sudden storm surge that destroyed settlements in the area. Even today, fishermen claim to hear bells ringing beneath the water on calm days. Whether fact, fable, or a blend of both, the legend of Vineta lingers as the Baltic's own Atlantis, a reminder of how easily the sea can reclaim what humans build. As we conclude our journey through these remarkable lost cities, we step away from their silent streets and weathered stones, carrying with us the stories they have left behind. Each city was once a vibrant center of life, filled with hopes, achievements, and challenges, a testament to human creativity and resilience. Though time has reclaimed their walls and silenced their voices, their legacies continue to shape our understanding of the past. They remind us that civilizations rise and fall, but the echoes of their existence endure. In the artifacts we discover, the histories we uncover, and the imaginations they inspire. May these stories inspire us to appreciate the fragile beauty of our own world and to honor the countless lives that shaped it long before us. Thank you for joining me on this journey through time.